So, that is the first variation on the A section. So, if you have a Bigsby, you're definitely going to want to using this heavily. If you don't, you can sort of do a different thing in the left hand where you're just sliding into the notes. And like if you're playing acoustic guitar, you could do that. But assuming you want to play this on electric guitar, this is where you're going to go about it. So you're going to go a full half step down with the Bigsby and scoop into the low C note. And you want it to still be rhythmic and within the groove. You want it to be 4-1. And then you're into your C shape, and you're going to be using your pinky to grab the G note on top, the 3rd fret. That's the pattern. And you want those notes ringing against each other. 1, 2, and 3, and 4. And then it's going to go to the F chord. 1, and 2, and 3. 1, and 2, and... So the index of my right hand is ending on... It's on the and of 2, and it's brushing up from the 3rd string open through the fretted second fret of the 4th string. It's that kind of motion. If you could just... It's all right there in the index finger. So... and then there's a momentary rest, and on beat 4 again, you're going to depress the bar again and scoop back in. So that's the first phrase. And then you're going to go in and do the same sort of approach, but you're going to be doing it through a G9 chord. So you want to... I'm using my thumb, and I'm just doing a partial bar with the index finger across the first 4 strings. So I got thumb on the 6th string in the bass, and then my index barring, my index finger barring those 4 strings. Although you never hear that note on the 1st string because the pinky is going to go up to the 5th fret, and... So that's how it's going to start on the G7, and you're going to scoop into it. Here, when you scoop in, it's a little bit more complicated. In the right hand, you want to grab both the bass with your thumb pick and with your index finger, the 4th fret of the 3rd string, so you're really scooping in. The interval would be a 10th. It's just G and a B, and the B is up the next octave. So... without getting into a lesson on theory there, that would be a 10th. So you'll be scooping into that. Again, not barring with the index finger as I was just doing there. I was about to explain. You can do that if your hand has that disposition. For mine, it's much easier to use. It's much easier to keep the bar as insignificant and not do any more barring with my left hand than I absolutely have to. So I'm going to use my thumb and do that phrase. And from there, I'm going to go back to the open G7 shape. So yeah, there was a little mistake, but here. So again, when you go back to the open G7 shape, it's just index finger on the 1st fret, pinky on the 3rd fret of the 2nd string, and then to the open B string. And you want things ringing as much as possible. Same phrase where you're 1 and 2 and on the brush up, your index finger in the right hand is definitely brushing up, grabbing the adjacent string, and you're repeating that just like you repeated the first part in C. So it's a... and then you'll go back to C again. Kind of a cool development here. Just plays it through the first time like normal. And then Bigsby's make strings go out of tune. So you start by just scooping in like normal and going C through the F chord back to the C. When you get back to that C, you'll have your index finger articulate the open third string, that G, and you'll want to reposition your left hand going up to a bar shape at the 8th fret. And as your hand is moving up, you'll have that open third string ringing, and there will be a bit of a dip, a slight dip in the bar, returning to pitch, and then you'll scoop into the bass note. So I know I just said a lot in a short amount of time. Let me just play what that sounds like. That's what you hear on the record, and it's such a great sound. It makes me dream of Gretsch guitars. So you want your string to actually ring through. I muted mine a little bit there. Just the open third. So it's like that. If you were to break it down into just two notes side by side. So once you're up into the bar shape, you just do it again. Same thumb picking pattern. 6, 4, 5, 4. And other than that, it's pretty straight ahead. The melody is just the first and second strings. And you do go through the F chord. So you go to an F bar chord at the 8th fret. So it's just your left hand doing that. You can keep the bar planted. So once you've done that, you're going to go back to the G9 and scoop in again. Variation in the melody there at the end of that section, because on so many of the G7s and the G9s lately, I told you the melody was... Well, at the end of this section with his Bigsby, so this is like the second go round of the A, at the end of that he goes... So the melody goes up a whole step instead of down a step and a half. It goes... Again, if I were to sort of line these up, Exhibit A, Exhibit B, that would be what we have been doing. That's what we are going to do. Versus, there's a little difference there. So you'll be... And then you're going to go into the B section again. It's the chords to the B section, but he's not going to be in this part of the guitar. He's going to raise it up an octave. So to get here, you want to take your thumb and you're going to slide all the way up. And first, I'll play that in context for you. Okay, so what's going on in order is thumb is sliding from the 3rd fret of the 6th string all the way up to the 8th fret of the 6th string, and then my left hand will be going into, this is a C13 with a 9 in it, if you wanted to break this down in terms of theory, but you just probably want the shape. So in terms of the actual shape, what's going on? Starts with his first finger at the 8th fret, second finger at the 9th fret, third finger at the 10th fret, pinky at the 10th fret. And that's in order of strings 4, 3, 2, 1. So it begins like that. Next measure, the 3rd finger releases and you bar with your middle finger the 3rd and 2nd string. So now it's 8th fret, 9th fret, 9th fret, 10th fret. What that does is it flattens what had been the 13 in the chord. So now he's got like a flat 13, or it could be called a sharp 5, but it would be you know, C9 sharp 5, C9 augmented. You might think of it like that. So, and it's just an internal voicing. Even if you don't care about the theory or the names of these things, you hear it's a nice change, and then as he goes to the next chord, it's going to go back up. So what you'll hear is some variation. It's just great little voice leading. So, and then he's going to go to an F chord, and I'm wrapping my thumb around because I'm fortunate to have one of those thumbs that I've been using a really long time, and I have a bit of strength and leverage in it. Sometimes Hendrix would do those things again. I know it's a little weird. I'm talking about like two completely different guitar players in the same series here, but the guitar is the guitar is the guitar. A lot of times Jimmy would just wrap his thumb around the whole neck and grab both the 6th and the 5th strings. So I'm doing that here anyhow with the thumb and going into it's an F chord that would otherwise I'd have to be using my index finger, and I got my 3rd finger flattened out against the 10th fret on the top 4 strings. So that is an F6 technically. That's what that chord would be called. It's also the chord that comes immediately before Mean Mr. Mustard on Abbey Road, although I don't know that it was an F6, but it's a beautiful it's a beautiful 6th kind of chord on that record. Forever Abbey Road was my favorite album, like ever. And I want to hear Lennon come in with Mean Mr. Mustard. So anyhow, you'll be going. So you'll be to F6, and then you'll be going back. So your thumb is staying planted, going back through. This is a C7 sharp 5, and you're getting that. Just thumb on the 8th fret, B flat at the 8th fret of the 4th string, 9th fret of the 3rd string with your 3rd finger, pinky, 9th fret of 2nd string, 2nd finger, 8th fret of 1st string. So back to the F. So what you got is it's just they're all very closely voiced together. So you got that, and then you're going to go up to the D7, which is a D9, just like I told you it's down here. If you took this regular C7 shape and moved it, that's a D9. Well, this is a D9 too. It's just up an octave. Using your thumb at the 10th fret, and just playing it out of the straight chord. It's just your partial barring with your index finger around the 10th fret, and middle finger in the 11th fret of the 3rd string, and your pinky is on the 12th fret of the high E string to get that nice E note. So those are the top parts of that chord, and the bass in the thumb. And your thumb pick is between the 6th string and the 4th string there. 1 and 2, 3, 4, 1, 2 and 3. So the chord is on the off beats. And then this is pretty cool. This is where he goes to his whole tone descending lick. So it's weird. The only time I screw it up is when I think about it and play it slowly. You do want to sort of mute with your right hand the strings underneath it. I'm muting pretty much all the strings beneath the 1st string. So, and I'm just kind of raking through to give it that percussive attack. And then you want that nice 1st string ringing, and that's starting with my pinky on the 15th fret. And you're descending a whole tone scale. It's a symmetric scale, and what that means is all scales are made up of a series of whole steps and half steps, and whatever the relationship is between the notes of that scale, that's whether it's a major scale or a minor scale or a natural minor or a harmonic minor or a melodic minor. Well, a whole tone scale is just a series of all whole steps until you come back to home bass. So that's what he's doing here. He's just descending in whole steps throughout 2 octaves. I was going to say 1, but it spans 2 octaves. He begins here, and then he goes whole step down with his 2nd finger, his middle finger, 2nd finger. Yeah, right. middle finger, and index finger on the 11th fret then. So the frets would be 15, 13, 11, and then I transfer over. I do three notes per string on this. So that's pretty diagonal. It's 15, 13, 11, transferring over to the second string at the 14. So when I say diagonal, I mean literally I'm moving down one fret for the whole shape of my hand between the first and the second string. And then, of course, because of the way the guitar is tuned, when I transfer over to the third string, I have to move down 2 frets from where I had been. So I'm starting on the 15th fret on the first string, starting on the 14th fret on the second string, starting on the 12th fret of the third string. Okay, so that's the first kind of trilogy. And then the lone exception to the 3-string per rule thing is I stay on the 4th string, so I grab 4 notes on the 4th string. I go 11th fret, starting, 9th fret, 7th fret, and then I just follow it down to the 5th fret. Yeah, so, yeah. Yeah, like that, not like the time before. And another thing, if you really want to sound just like Chet, a trick, articulate the first series of note and then keep your right hand kind of planted so you are progressively muting as you're getting down to the bass. You know, I'm thinking about it right now, so it's a little weird, but you'll certainly just, you know, listen to Chet and you'll develop exactly a sense of a touch and a sense of feel for the guitar, but it's all part of getting a good tone. Yeah. You know, that was kind of like hot, cold, on, off. You might want more of a transition in your right hand with the dampening than that. But some right hand dampening will help to just kind of make that lick really cool. So that's the variation of the B section. And then he's back into the A section again. So when you're getting into this A section, you're going to do it just like the beginning. You're going to fret at the 4th fret of the 2nd string and get into it that way. You will be doing the variation I showed you. So it's a little bit different than the first time because he's going through the F chord and he's doing that variation in the melody where it's that. Not the descent that happens, bam, right at the beginning of the tune. It's not that. But he is nevertheless fretting it, so you know, you're back to that mentality on this A section. It begins like that, and then it goes into some scooping. So the next time, sorry, Bigsby's make guitars notoriously go out of tune. The next time when you do the second go round on the C on this section, you want to scoop into that, and then scoop into the G7. Okay, so that's the whole variation. That's the whole A section at this point in the tune. Into his next section. Now this is actually the B section, but he does something really neat with the way that he's approaching it. The melody goes into the bass. And so first off, you want to get your index finger on the 1st fret of the 2nd string, and your 3rd string and your 1st string are going to be open. And first thing is you want to get used to the groove that's going to be taking place in the right hand, and there's going to be a lot of kind of, I use left and right hand dampening to bring this out, but the melody will be with the thumb pick. And remember the first time that I showed you the B section, it was, so the melody was up here. Well, here, Chet was a master at this. He would always find cool and creative ways of varying things throughout an arrangement where he could play, you know, a solid 2-3 minute arrangement, and as he was repeating sections, in some cases several times, there'd always be a little variation that really made it stand out. And not even just playing solo guitar, even when he was like taking solos with his rhythm section. Listen to his solo on Mr. Sandman, and it's a work of art. So he had a very musical mind for all this stuff. So to get that, you want to have your, you're going to start with a C mentality. I'm calling it a C mentality because you're not going to be holding down a C chord like that because you're going to need the open fourth string to get the melody. But get just the first finger at the first fret, and it'll really be like more like a triad. And you're going to want to get in your right hand first finger, second finger, and third finger. So first finger assigned to the third string, second finger assigned to the second string, third finger assigned to the first string. Did I say that correctly? There's a lot of information going through my brain right now. First finger assigned to the third string, second finger assigned to the second string, third finger assigned to the first string. And you want to get that, and then I bring my right hand back down to dampen it, and I'm also simultaneously kind of using my pinky on my left hand to flatten out against the open ringing strings. So I'm getting a bit of dampening in both right and left hand. My right and left hand, they're kind of in stereo with one another. And it's another sort of broad approach to the guitar, but you always want your hands working together as a team. All the great guitar players, no matter who they were, everything is all kind of happening together, and one supports the other. In any kind of music, in any kind of guitar playing. So you're looking for those connections. So here, once you have a nice feel and a nice sound and a nice tone for that approach, you're going to add in the melody with the thumb pick, and it's just going to be kind of a swung eighth note groove. It's going to be like 1, 2, 3, 4. So I'm getting the, I'm counting on the quarter notes with the thumb pick, but really the in-between is the chord 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. Everything is pretty staccato. And I'm using my pinky to get that C note on the third fret of the fifth string. So the melody is open fourth string, fretted fifth string at the third fret. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, second fret, second fret of the fourth string. And that's just over the C chord. Then he's going to go to the F chord. So I'm thinking how I usually do that in the left hand. I would use probably my first finger barred across the first fret here, and third finger on the second fret of the third string, because I'm going to want the melody will be open fifth string. Yeah. That's the melody. It's going to go all the way down to the sixth string. So I'm going to use my third finger here because I want this second finger free to grab that second fret of the fourth string. So there's always a method to my madness. But you can find which left-hand fingering works best for you. That's what would work best for me, I think. Okay, and you probably want to hold that down a little more. I was rattling through just a little bit on the end. And then here you're going to go to what would be the D9 chord again, but he's got such a cool voicing here. It's inverted. It's got the third of the chord in the bass and the dominant seventh on the fifth string, root on the open fourth, and This is a D9 chord. Doesn't maybe look like one. Doesn't look like one that you learned in Guitar Method Volume 1, but it's definitely a D9 chord, and he's thumb picking through it. So that's the chord. Got your thumb at the 2nd fret of the 6th string, 3rd finger at the 3rd fret of the 5th string, open 4th string, 2nd finger at the 2nd fret of the 3rd string, pinky on the 3rd fret of the 2nd string. So leading into that, so you're going to be going into your thumb picking pattern back into that there, and your pattern again in the right hand is going to be same set of strings. It's just cool notes because the notes, the whole shape of the chord is inverted. So the melody is kind of like 1 and 2 and 3, 4, 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. Yeah, and I was playing that pretty fast to count it, but you could 1 and 2 and 3, 4, 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. Right, so that's what it would be. And this is a really cool lick. He just kind of goes into this double time thing where. So, what's going on there is he's sliding up with his 1st finger to the 10th fret of the 5th string, and then grabbing with his 3rd finger and pinky at the 12th fret on the 3rd and 2nd strings. So that's like just you're grabbing those 2 notes together like as a block, and then you're getting into this pattern. So what's going on there in the left hand first, and then I'll show you how he's approaching that in the right. You're there, and you're moving back now, down 1 fret, back another fret, so it's moving chromatically. Then to a different shape. It's like an E minor shape is what it's like, but it's index at the 7th fret of the 5th string, 3rd finger at the 9th fret of the 3rd string, middle finger at the 8th fret of the 2nd string. Down again, up. So it's so down chromatically again, new shape, down chromatically, back, down a whole step. So he's ending with the index on the 5th fret. That would be, like a D minor kind of shape. So those are your chords. In the right hand, what's going on is you're grabbing the 1st as a block, bass, and then grabbing the G and the B notes together. And then when you move down to the next, chromatically down, then he's going into his cool pattern. Now, if I were to count it, I could think of that as 16th notes, but I'm feeling it entirely. What it is thumb on the 5th string, followed by middle finger in the right hand on the 2nd string, followed by the thumb on the 3rd string, I believe. Yeah. Right. Yes, it is thumb on the 5th string, middle finger on the 2nd string, thumb on the 3rd string, and then lifting up the finger, so what you have is like an open string, but you're going to kind of mute it, and it's going to just be a drone. It's this in-between note to give it a cool rhythmic groove. So if I broke it down and you actually heard all those notes and I didn't mute anything, it would sound like this. But you're not going to do that, and you're not going to clearly hear that open string defined. You want it kind of muted, and it's just going to be a rhythmic placeholder to give it this killer rhythm. So I'm letting my finger up, but I'm not going to the open G. I'm just muting it. And what you're hearing is the muted string when I'm doing that, at least. Yeah, and then you're grabbing the last 2 together. So this cool little right hand roll does not go all the way through the rest of it, but almost. So it's bass, 2 notes together, then into your kind of. So the last 2 are together again. So. And of course, you want that to be in time and in rhythm with the rest of the tune as you've been playing it. So, you can always just listen to Chet play along with his recording. You can always work with metronomes. That's a big deal, a great thing to do to develop a sense of time and a sense of rhythm. And as I've said a million times before, just listen to music in general. Anytime you hear anything, be asking yourself and trying to find where is the groove of this particular piece of music. Listening to bands, listening to drummers. It's all a greatly important thing to do. Whether you've been playing a long time or not that long at all, we're all still kind of searching for a tone and a groove. Got a tone and a groove, well, I guess you want a melody after that, and then you're in pretty good shape. So he's going to go, he goes from there back into the final A section. I'll show you that, and then we'll be out. So coming into the last A section, you do want to scoop with the arm again, and then fret. So what's happening there is you've come out of the bridge, you've gotten into the A section from your roll. And then you're going back to the fretted. So that's all a repeat, it's all happened before. That, when you go through the G7 chord, the G9. That's happened before. You're doing that, just playing the melody again. Then you're going in to the final descending lick, which is open first string, first fret, second fret, third fret. It's a chromatic ascending and descending lick. Chet did a lot of these. Okay, remember what we were talking about with pulling off and keeping things consistent in their intensity and the volume of the notes themselves, so everything is kind of the same level. What's happening is you're just literally rolling off, like if your whole left hand was just kind of like just opening up and letting go. Third finger pulls off the second finger, pulls off the first finger, pulls off the open string. And then you follow that shape the next on the second string, onto the third string, onto the fourth string, fifth string, and then third fret of the sixth string, third fret of fifth string. So you don't pull off, in other words, on the sixth string when you get there. You just do that. And it all is in rhythm. It all is in time. You hear Chet and you listen to the record and you can line yourself up with a metronome and break down. You want to be right on the beat. But that's the lick. And then from here, we're going to do another roll. We're just going to slide our index finger, and your hand slides up an octave. So take your first finger in your left hand at the third fret. So slide from the third fret all the way up to the 15th fret. You'll definitely want to cut away on your guitar to be doing this. And you're going to use your third finger and pinky at the 17th fret. Yeah. So, again, just like the other roll section, you're going to start by grabbing them together. So bass, chord. And I'm using my second and third finger in the right hand on the second and third strings. And then the chord shapes in the left hand. It's like a B minor shape. First finger at the 14th, third finger at the 16th, second finger at the 15th. Move move that down a whole step, so it's like now an A minor shape, then to like a G shape, so it's again like index at 10th, third and fourth finger at the 12th, down through F, so down a whole step, down to like that E minor shape. So yes, when you get to the E minor, it just moves down chromatically and the roll continues. So your shapes will be back to the C. And in the right hand, it's the same right hand pattern as before. And then you're going thumb pick on the 5th string. You can use your 3rd or your 2nd finger to get the 2nd string. But then thumb, 2nd or 3rd finger on the right hand, followed by thumb pick, followed by index just with a mute. So it could either be, yeah, so like, yeah, it's that. So your finger is releasing and muting the string. That's what's happening. And then you're going to do a G7 augmented chord. I'm using my thumb in the bass on the 3rd finger, 3rd fret of the 6th string. 1st finger, 3rd fret, 4th string. 3rd and 4th fingers on the 4th fret of the 3rd and 2nd string. Middle finger on the 3rd fret of the high E string of the 1st string. So, and then it's to a, this is a C9 sharp 11 chord. Again, you see, in order to get that, you have to use your 2nd finger across the 3rd fret of the 6th and 5th strings. You're barring at the 2nd fret with your index, and your 3rd and 4th fingers are firmly planted at the 3rd fret of the 3rd and 2nd string. So that's the shape. And then he does a cool sort of hammer-on thing here with his right hand. He just goes up to the 10th fret, and then goes 10th fret to 8th fret. And that's the very ending. So that's the tune. Hope you got something out of this, and definitely tune in next time. We'll keep doing this. Check out the website, SeanWeaver.com. Subscribe to the YouTube channel. Leave me comments. Email me. You know, I'm happy to answer all your questions.